Ground.
Oh, that's not that big at all.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too for missing the Baku GP review, but hey, did we really need one? The only interesting thing that happened was this. After that disappointing race, I didn't really have my hopes up for Miami, but thanks to
Chuck Leclerc.
he practiced a crash in free practice, finessed it in quali, and we got an interesting grid. What's with K-Mag always benefiting from people crashing in quali? And yes, Lewis Hamilton was P13. Come race day, we got this amazing pre-race ceremony. Pure cringe. Even the drivers hated it. But the race started off well. Verstappen in lap 3, as soon as the DRS was open, did that amazing double car overtake. And that Red Bull is just too fast. It's like everyone is in Formula 1 and these guys are in Formula 0.5. And guess what? It's going to stay that way. But it's weekends like these when Max shows that he's just from another planet. I mean, we didn't have any safety cars. There was no luck involved. It was pure pace, strategy and management, and Max executed it perfectly. He started off P9 and ended up putting 5 to 6 seconds at the end on Checo, and some people immediately started conspiring that Checo didn't get a great strategy. Max got the better one. Are you crazy? Mercedes did the same thing as well with Russell and Hamilton because Russell was starting ahead and Hamilton was behind. That's how it works. It's just that Max managed the tires better and it is what it is. But that gap's not that much in the championship, so there's still chance for Checo, and I want to see Max and Checo battling on the track because who else is battling with Max anyways? That car is a rocket ship. So Max did get driver of the day because of that performance, but for me, Lewis Hamilton was also the driver of the day because he started P13 after a bad quali and finished in P6. His race actually didn't start off that well. He was stuck behind Albon in the DRS train and they could barely do anything because that Williams is really fast in a straight line and the Mercedes is not. But still, eventually he ended up overtaking him, and from there he started picking off people one by one. And at the end, there were like 7-8 laps left and he was P8, and I posted on my Instagram story that he might take Leclerc and Gasly as well. And people were like, no bro, you're crazy. That's not happening. Guess what? It happened. Hamilton finished in P6. Great job from George Russell as well. He drove an amazing race and good teamwork from both of them. Hamilton was asked to let Russell go without fighting. He did the same because there was no point in fighting. Russell was on a different strategy and they would have just ruined each other's position. So good teamwork. Next race is when we finally get the upgrade from Mercedes. It's not gonna make them challenge Red Bull. That's not the case. But I think this random thing where sometimes they are the second best car, sometimes the fourth best car, that should stop. That update should make them a couple of tenths faster, and if the upgrades work, you know that they're on the right track and eventually they will try to overtake Red Bull. Another team that's struggling is Ferrari, and they are in a similar place as Mercedes because even they are not really sure about their concept. It works in a very limited, narrow window, and if they don't get that window right, the car just doesn't perform. Like we saw in the Miami Grand Prix, it was actually eating up tires, and Leclerc and Sainz, both of them were just sitting ducks at the end of the race and they barely had any tire life to push. So that's majorly the problem with Ferraris right now. They are planning to introduce upgrades in Imola as well as in Spain, and that might cut the gap down, but Ferrari is quite unsure where they are right now. Imagine being a Ferrari fan in 2022. You are like, oh my god, Ferrari is the fastest car. Later on they tip off, but you feel optimistic. In 2023 they'll do a better job. They'll be at the front and then they go even further down. But hey, since 2007 you guys haven't had a great time anyways.
Emotional damage.
Aston Martin, this is the team to look out for. Currently P2 in the constructors. The fight for P2 is ramping up quite well. Let's see what happens. But Alonso, man, what a great performance. It's like the constant podium now. Initially it was Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, or Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, and now it's like Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, Perez, Verstappen, Alonso. But consistent performance. He's been getting 15 points every race weekend. What was that around lap 50? He was driving his own race. Suddenly he sees Lance Stroll overtaking someone on screen and he's like, good move. What position was that for?
Shabash beta.
This guy is literally a genius. He drives his own race. He thinks about strategy. He tries to, in last race as well, he was advising Lance on what to do and what not. Now he's complimenting Lance. I have a conspiracy theory. Fernando Alonso's main job in Aston Martin is to coach Lance, and it's not about winning races and podiums. That is just a bonus on the side. Lawrence Stroll's main aim is just to get Fernando to teach Lance so that he eventually tries to be a world champion. But I want to talk about Yuki Tsunoda because he's been putting up great performances in that absolutely horrendous car. He's had a lot of P11 finishes, he's into points as well, and he's doing a much better job than Latifi.
What did he say?
Sorry, Nick De Vries, but you guys can understand where I'm coming from. I don't understand what De Vries doing. He was so hyped up by that one race last year in Monza, and if he doesn't step up the game, I think he's not gonna be in the next season because Red Bull does have some good junior drivers. And then I just forgot about Williams, McLaren and Alfa Romeo. Barely they were on the screen. I don't know what's going on with Alfa right now. They barely make it into points. Bottas did have a good quali, but their car is just not that great in the race. McLaren, absolutely horrible. That Baku package looks like it didn't do anything because they barely even came into points. They didn't even qualify that well. They have two of the most amazing drivers on the grid right now, and that car is just so bad. Alpine's got into points, so that's great, both of them. And Logan Sargent, home race, started 20, ended up 20. That's not a good look.
तुम कब आए?
सबसे पहले मैं ही आया.
But that basically was your Miami Grand Prix. Some interesting facts. 90,000 people attended the Grand Prix. There were a lot of celebrities, a lot of people as well. And the average ticket price was at least more than $600 to $700. A lot of tickets were still unsold. They could have probably had more people, but FIA just sells the tickets too expensive. If we talk about the top speed during the race, it was actually not Max Verstappen. It was Lance Stroll with I think around 351 kilometers an hour. Max was second with 350 kmph. Now you might wonder why was that the case? Well, it depends on a lot of things, where the wind is at that particular point, the DRS, the slipstream, the batteries that they are using, the tires. It depends on a lot of things. Also, Red Bull did have an upgrade package. They launched it in Baku, but they were not able to optimize it properly because of the lack of testing. But in Miami, they optimized it, and that's why they were probably even faster. I mean, at this point, Red Bull is just competing with Red Bull, and I think this package roughly made them 3/10 even faster. So it's not that a lot of teams have fallen back. It's just that Red Bull actually went even further. And the next race that we have is in Italy, 21st of May, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, Imola, that we are saying. Ferrari and Mercedes are bringing upgrades. Let's see what other teams do. And I'm very excited about that. But that's the Miami Grand Prix video for now. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. Who were your best drivers? What are your thoughts? What are you expecting from the next race? Let me know in the comments. I have a couple of videos on the channel that you can watch. Thank you, and I'm going to catch up with you guys in the next video.